Hey, this is Cameron, and welcome to the practice log. Alright, well, we got a lot of stuff to do to get into today, so let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? Oh god, what a beautiful day it is. A beautiful day indeed. Socks are coming off. You. What's on the docket today? I was gonna go into how I'm changing the format, but I'm just gonna let you experience it, and it's gonna be fine. We're gonna do our usual stuff today, which is answering your comment questions, and I think I found some that seem like pretty good ones. I mean, let's see. This is from Alex B8574. How's it going, Alex? Hope you're doing well today. And you have a question. It's one that I think I've answered in depth. I'll probably answer this like every month or so, just because it's a good question to answer. You simply ask, do you have any tips for memorizing a piece? A piece of what, Alex? A piece of music? I do have tips for that. Sorry, I don't know what that was. Yeah, no, memory is a tricky thing, and it's something that I work with. This is my preamble to like figuring out what I'm actually going to say. Memory is a thing, and it's something that I personally do. I use it every day, basically. Something to keep in mind with memory, it doesn't happen automatically. Something that you actually need to put conscious effort into doing. Like, for example, you can see it really plainly, like in the fugue that I play. I put a lot of effort into actually memorizing, and I'll get into what I did to actually memorize it. But if you look at stuff like Morel Sonatina Movement 2, like another piece that I'm playing, it's way less notes, it's way simpler, way more simple, however you say it, post in the comments. But I just don't have it as solid in my mind. And the reason why, like, I just didn't put the effort to actually memorize it because, I don't know, just sometimes we neglect things. Sometimes the less busy a piece is, the harder to memorize it, just because you don't have to worry about fingerings as much, and you just kind of play through it, and like stuff that's sight readable, that's like really hard to memorize because you just sight read it. No part of me even needs to memorize this to play it at all. It's a thing, for sure. That being said, what do I do to memorize stuff? There's a lot of info about this, like, online, and that you'll hear from other people. A big thing that I've heard is like chunking the piece like into section, like learn it phrase by phrase, and that's kind of what I do. Like, that's sort of my approach with the new fugue that I'm learning, 997. I'm just sort of parceling it out into like 4 or 2 measure phrases and just seeing if I can memorize that. So chunking is one of the pillars. None of them stand alone. Like, one pillar holding something up isn't going to be very stable, but the more that you have, pillars can fall and go through battle. I don't know what this analogy is, and you can have enough of them to where catastrophe can happen. As long as the whole building isn't destroyed, your performance will still make it through somehow. And these pillars can consist of like chunking, like I just said, can be your knowledge of music theory and like actually applying that to the music and seeing like, is this a series of notes or is this an E major scale? Stuff like that. Also muscle memory, like shape memory on the guitar. Like, you know how D major looks like a triangle? That's something. Like, you remember that. Like, we don't like to talk about that, I feel, as advanced classical guitarists, but D major does look like a triangle, and that does make it easy to remember. Like, I know it's not logical, and it's not based on anything other than just the random geometry of the fretboard, but I mean, the fretboard ain't changing, you know, unless I change tunings, of course. But if I'm at a point where I'm changing tunings, I probably have a grasp of the actual theory behind what I'm doing anyways. It's a self-solving problem, is my point with that. Something that I've heard a lot, just because I am a guitar teacher, guitar lessons, by the way, sign up, email in the description. Slots are filling up fast, so, you know, don't sleep on it. I've heard this from students. Applying music theory to the guitar fretboard is not an intuitive thing. It's not like a piano, where everything's kind of laid out. Like, a piano is essentially just a single string, but you're allowed to play multiple parts of the string at the same time, right? It's just parceled into half steps, and you can just play it. So everything's lined up very nicely. The guitar, it's multiple strings, of course, so I imagine the guitar is sort of like 6 pianos, but separated by fourths. And you kind of need to understand that going from this key to the key, like exactly, like the fret is what I mean here. It's going to be a perfect fourth, because that's how it's tuned on most of the strings. And you kind of just need to get a feel for like all of the theoretical concepts that you might learn. You have to actually play them on guitar to really like see them, or at least conceptualize them on the guitar. Like, something that I've noticed that students have had issues with, like, say there's an E major scale in a piece, it's kind of hard for them to actually see that as an E major scale, just because to them it's just a series of notes. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and so on. And it just doesn't appear that obvious. And to that, I would say it is really worth your time to go ahead and try to learn your scales in any position, any major, minor, harmonic minor, melodic minor scale, all 12 of each, of course. And then also being able to play all of your basic triads. There are 4 of them. diminished, minor, major, augmented. You should be able to just recognize those, like even just as patterns on the fretboard. Like you should see a 3-note group and you should immediately know if it's a triad or not and which quality of triad it is. How do you practice that? I mean, I've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of the scale positions. Start in a key of your choice. You can get most of the triads that I mentioned just by going off of each note. You know that? Mainly major, minor, diminished. Augmented, you don't really see that as much usually. And if you do, it's usually like, I don't know your dominant chords. Dominant's actually probably the most important one. You should know your fully diminished arpeggios. Like you see those all the time. Fully diminished is easy because you really only need to memorize like 2 positions of it, and they're symmetrical so you can move them around. You can play a fully diminished arpeggio in any position. Like that's the same pattern that I just played. I just slid it up and it's the same fully diminished arpeggio. There's only 3 of them. Remember that. There's C fully diminished, C sharp fully diminished, D fully diminished. And then if you wanted a D sharp fully diminished, it would be the same exact notes as a C fully diminished because it is symmetrical. A little fun fact for you. Same thing with the augmented triad, that is symmetrical. There's only 4 of that one. But being able to recognize those triads and recognizing them anywhere, super, super helpful. And you know, it's funny, I didn't really get that much emphasis on like being able to recognize that stuff on guitar, like in my classical studies. But where I got it the most was when I got obsessed with jazz for like a year and a half. And I would just write out linear harmony outlines for various tunes, like Autumn Leaves. Like doing stuff like this. And I'd work on seeing the arpeggios like cascading down, of course. And also doing it in one position. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I've done those, but I have a lot of residual arpeggio practice from doing that kind of stuff. And what I was doing there was just going through a circle 5th chord progression and just playing, starting on the 2. I'm in B flat, so in C minor, a C minor 7. And I'm playing 8 notes per chord, and the first 4 notes go to playing the chord tones. 1, 3, 5, 7. And then walking down the scale to get to the next root, where I'll play the 1, 3, 5, 7 of that. 1, 3, 5, 7. Go through circle of 5ths. That was Autumn Leaves in B flat or G minor, however you want to look at it. That's sort of arpeggio practice. I find that, you know, you don't really do that as much in guitar, but God, does it come up like when I'm playing Bach and stuff. Like that stuff there. It's so much easier to read those like diminished arpeggios when you actually know how to play a diminished arpeggio already from like previous stuff. Hopefully I edit this into a way that makes sense. I feel like this has been very convoluted, but basically all I'm telling you is learn how to play all of your scales, major and minor, and learn all your arpeggios. Start with the triads, major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, half diminished, fully diminished. Know how to just play them all. Like in all positions, of course, but I mean at least 2 positions, right? Like root on the 6th string, root on the 5th string. Like that's the minimum. And just internalize those for a while. Like of course, if you know your scales, like play the arpeggio along with the scale and really notice how they sort of are the same. Like it's just the scale is just like an arpeggio with like extra notes, really. You'll get to a place where you even play scales like that. My favorite way to play a scale is descending, starting on the 4th scale degree and then descending to the 3rd, because you get a natural 2-5-1 harmony in there. That was just a descending scale. Right? Pretty cool. I feel like sort of immersing yourself in that world makes memorizing stuff, especially like Bach, a lot easier. Not the Morel Sonatina, apparently. Have I said anything useful today? I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling at you. Just sort of playing scales, which I love to do. I love playing scales. That's why I don't understand when people say they don't love playing scales. I don't know. Have you ever tried just like playing a scale? Just try moving around with it. Learn your pentatonic scale as well. Practice your scales and try to have fun with it. And each of those concepts, like, don't look at it as work. Like, you know, start working on your first one, like the major arpeggio. Can you play it like that? And then freaking make some music with it. I don't know. And then add some notes with the scale. But just to accentuate those. And you start by just playing the notes of it, just to a pulse. Speed the pulse up if you want. So, what were we talking about? Tips for memorizing stuff. Okay, I think this is a good time to cut this video off. Okay, and you know what? If you made it through all that rambling, 25% off of the SOAR, the classic SOAR t-shirt. The discount code is SCALES. Type in the word SCALES, all lowercase, SCALES plural, because you should know all 12 of them. You'll get 25% off of the SOAR shirt. So if you want one and you don't have it yet, boom, now's a good time. 25% off. That's a pretty hefty deal. Is that going to work out? Yeah, we should be all right. We should be good. Well, let's go ahead and get to the practicing part. I will see you there. How we doing? I think we all knew that this day would come eventually. Welcome to my girlfriend's closet. You already had a whole video before this, and now we are just doing the practice part of the video, which is very important. We cannot skip this part. Important for a lot of reasons. I need to work on stuff. So right now, it is, I'm gonna give you a time. Don't laugh, but it's 9:11 right now. Can you see that? This is kind of my first time back into the usual routine since the vacation. Sciato, we're gonna go for scales for a while, and then I'm gonna get back into BWV 997 fugue, and yeah. And of course, this one's gonna be a little different because I'm gonna need my phone to play guitar, because obviously I need my phone. I can't play without that. So I'm gonna stop filming, and then once I've practiced, I'll show you the time again, and I'll maybe play something for you. All right, that is all. I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. I'll see you on the other side. Hey, and we're back. So, I worked on scales, Raschiato. Got a little bit into arpeggios, which I think I need to start practicing arpeggios exclusively again, too. I've been going pretty hard on scale work, you know. Just trying to build up my rest stroke. Yeah, you know, I just need to keep up with the arpeggios and stuff for the Morel Sonatina mainly, and other songs that involve arpeggios. Name some pieces that involve arpeggios in the comments section. I'm dusting off the Presto today because I haven't played it in a while, and I kind of just want to see where my memory is with it. I'm sure I'm going to have slips, so this is really just a performance just to like kind of see where it's at after like leaving it alone for a month and a half or so. I'm going to put my lapel right here because I think that'll sound better. All right, here's the Presto. Check this out. was me after not playing it, like, very much at all for, like, a month and a half or so. So I have forgotten a lot of that. I think I would like to go back into that, though, just to sort of memorize it. Because I think I never really played it that well, and I feel like I can play it a lot better than I have before. So, you know, I'm just going to try to do that. Other than that, I worked on scales, Raschiato, Beetle EV 997. 997's been really interesting. The harmony in 997 is definitely, like, the most important part. And, like, you're hearing me say that. Like, isn't, like, the harmony in all Bach the most important part? There's rhythm and harmony, right? And I think the prominent part of 997 is the harmony and, like, the voices ringing out and stuff. So I'm giving a lot of attention to stuff like this. Like, going from that E to, like, the F. You know, letting it ring. Making sure it's just not this like sloppy little transition from that leap. And then like you should hear that half step. Like like having this, having that E like cut out, same sort of leap there. And that's hard. Getting the half. This part here. You know, and moving on. All these like muted notes here. Mute the 6th string, and then mute the 5th string. That's all tough. I'm really choreographing my right hand for this piece. Because it's certainly not a piece to be taken lightly. You don't want to lazily go through a fugue. So keep that in mind for when you're picking out your fugue for this upcoming year to learn and memorize. Well, I think that pretty much covers everything. I played a little bit for you. The Presto will get better with time. I'm going to start going into it because I really haven't looked at it at all. It's just been Adagio and fugue for me. I'm probably going to keep practicing. What time is it actually? It's 10:48 right now. What'd I start at like 9:11? I'll probably keep going till like noon or something, but I'm going to wrap it up here just because, you know, I already played, you already saw it all. Let's do the outro. Hey, well, you know, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. And don't forget, 25% off of the store shirt. It's that shirt right there. 25% off. Discount code SCALES. Plural, SCALES. Usable up to 12 times. 12 times, one for each major scale. You know, let's make it 24. You can only use it 24 times per transaction. I'll find a way to make sure that that's legit. One for each key. There's only one color. Lessons, of course, if you want some lessons, email in the description. Just shoot me an email. Slots are filling up, though. New students coming in. Do you want to be one of them? Then be sure to email me. And, of course, head on down over to Rootin's Delight. Get yourself a discounted shirt. Only the store shirt. That's the only one discounted. I'm sorry. Which, what else? Comment questions? Feel free to leave them, and I'll answer them in the chair at some point. All right. I'll see you in the next one.